Hello there, and welcome back to another review slash achievement talk for Final Fantasy XVI. Before we start with the review side, I did get gifted this code by Square Enix. It's huge for me as a smaller channel to get a Final Fantasy code. Final Fantasy is my favourite franchise, so I was super hyped when I got this as well. So thank you very much, Square Enix, for that. Onto the game. I have played this before. I have the Platinum Trophy on PlayStation 5, so by the time I got all the achievements, I played through the game a total of 4 times altogether. Story-wise, it's a very good story. I mean, there's lots of political intrigue and stuff like that that goes on in the background. All of the characters are really genuine. They're really quite different as well. Some Final Fantasy games, the characters tend to be like similar-ish. But with Final Fantasy 16, you kind of get a good feel for all of the different characters. With the story as well, with the political intrigue, a lot of people have said that it's kind of like Game of Thrones-esque, which I can see. I have watched Game of Thrones, so I get where they're coming from with the Game of Thrones sort of references, but Final Fantasy's always had political intrigue and stuff, and betrayals and stuff like that in it, like from the earlier games anyway. Final Fantasy IV, for instance, the main character Cecil gets betrayed by the King of Baron, who he's working for. Like, it's kind of happens in most Final Fantasy games that there is some sort of betrayal or political intrigue or something along those lines. So I think a lot of it is more to do with the fact that it's more of a contemporary sort of European setting rather than a I apologise for that horn honking, if the microphone even picked it up. Yeah, I lost my train of thought. So yeah, it's more of a European medieval setting rather than it being the kind of what the East thinks a medieval setting is, kind of, I guess. I'm not entirely sure where I'm going with that, but it is more European in its style, which is probably where more of the Game of Thrones stuff comes from as well. But music-wise, music's pretty good. I personally, when I went through it like the first 2 times, didn't really feel any sort of connection with any of the music. There wasn't a sort of particular standout song or anything that I thought, oh yeah, you know, that sounds pretty good, or was humming or whatever. A lot of some of the older Final Fantasy soundtracks I still listen to today, like 7, 8, 9, 10, 6. Like, I kind of listen to those soundtracks every so often. Whereas 16, I probably wouldn't go back and listen to any particular song on the soundtrack. Playing through it again, the battle theme did kind of stick out a little bit more to me. It was very sort of Final Fantasy VIII battle theme, kind of. It was very similar. But yeah, that was story, music, talked about the characters, gameplay, general gameplay. So combat is by the creator of the Devil May Cry combat. So it's very action orientated, whereas obviously previous Final Fantasy games tend to be more turn-based action. This is more of an action RPG. So there's lots of hacking and slashing, combos, stylish combos. Each of the different icons that you get give you a different power that allows you to do a set of different moves that have cooldowns and stuff. So you can kind of see like the Devil May Cry sort of essence there, with a little bit of a Final Fantasy flair to it. Generally though, like the minute-to-minute gameplay of what you would normally expect in a Final Fantasy game tends to not be there. The side quests are, for most part, quite boring. They tend to be go and talk to this person, go and talk to that person, go here and take care of these couple of monsters, and then come back again with item. They're very MMO style side quests, which aren't for me. I'd rather have the sort of deeper side quests where you travel around a lot and you have to try and figure stuff out, rather than it just being, so go talk to this person. And then the only real other side quests other than those are the hunts, which, again, it's just go and kill monster. Like, it was very... Final Fantasy XVI is very much lacking a sort of mini-game to it. A lot of previous Final Fantasy games have quite a few memorable mini-games to them. So you've got, like, Final Fantasy VII had the Gold Saucer and Chocobo Racing, and Final Fantasy VIII has Triple Triad, and Final Fantasy IX has Tetramaster and Chocobo Hot and Cold, and 10 has, like, Blitzball. So you can kind of see with those older games that they've got that mini-game aspect to them. So with Final Fantasy XVI having none, it's kind of a bit like, takes away from the game a little bit, in my opinion. I'd rather have a couple of cool mini games that I can play. Final Fantasy VII Rebirth does kind of go away from that and has too many mini games. So there needs to be a balance with these mini games, like in future when Square Enix are doing the next Final Fantasy game. There needs to be a good balance. But with Final Fantasy 16, I've enjoyed it enough to go through and play through it 4 times. The DLC was pretty cool as well. One of the DLCs goes more into the lore of the Fallen. Tells you a bit more about those, why they are there, sort of what the whole deal is with them and Ultima. And then the other DLC, The Rising Tide, goes into the backstory for Leviathan, who you get told during the gameplay, the Leviathan dominant's been missing for like 100 years or something. Like, we've no idea generally why the Leviathan dominant wasn't there, and then it goes into the backstory as to why. It's basically been frozen in time so that the people of Nisidia can have their own mother crystal. And then that DLC is based all around trying to save the baby that is the dominant. And then you get the Leviathan and Ultima powers as well from that, which is pretty cool. The Ultimate Icon powers are pretty OP, as is Leviathan's. Leviathan's B move in particular is pretty good. But yeah, as always, we do go over the achievements as well, so we're going to do that now. Okay then, let's look over the achievements. So first we have Shift. Land 15 shift strikes or shift shots combined, excluding battles in the Hall of Virtue. So shift strikes are the B attack for the Phoenix icon, and then you press B, it teleports to an enemy, you press the attack button and it'll do shift strike. Nice and easy. Awoken, rise from your reverie. That is for completing the prologue. After having a fight with Phoenix against Ifrit, that basically completes the prologue. It goes over Clive's backstory, basically, from when he was younger and whatnot, and how he ended up being where he is in that portion of the game. You can pet the dog, pet Torgal 5 times. You can pet Torgal, the massive direwolf after, well, basically any time. So you can just go to him and start petting him. 10 out of 10 mechanic would do again. Punisher. Punish 10 enemies, excluding battles in the Hall of Virtue. So whenever you attack enemies, you have a chance of knocking them down. When you knock them down, you can go over and attack them, and it will do a Punisher attack. Just basically, usually just like stabbing them when they're down or something. It does a lot more damage, so well worth doing, but you need to do that 10 times. With great power, inherit a power unknown. That is for defeating Benedicta and gaining the Garuda power. That particular part of the game, you infiltrate a massive castle that the Republic have in the area of Lost Wing, and yeah, Benedicta's there. You defeat Benedicta and get the Garuda power. Just to the 5s, craft or upgrade 5 pieces of gear. Doing this is basically something that you're going to do during the game anyway. Just crafting gear or upgrading gear is the best way to level up your stats, and yeah, do it 5 times and you get an achievement. I probably did it nearly 100 times. Acceptance, accept your fate. This is another story related one. Basically, Clive goes off to sea. He gets intelligence where the Ifrit dominant supposedly is, and ends up in a fallen ruin, and ends up fighting himself and realizing that he is in fact the Ifrit dominant. So yeah, that you get that one for fighting Shadow Clive, basically. Lawless, defy your fate. That is a little bit later on. You go to the capital to destroy the Mother Crystal with Cid and Jill, and basically you end up coming away with the Ramu power and destroying the first of the Mother Crystals. When you ride alone, ride Ambrosia for the first time. This is a side quest for getting the Chocobo Ambrosia, which is a white Chocobo. And yeah, it's just a little side quest. I Am the Thunder. There's quite a few achievements that are related to combat. This one is for discharging 50 blind Justice lightning balls. So Ramu's B attack basically sends off homing balls. You can target up to 6 at the start, and then 9 once it's upgraded. And then you press B again, and it discharges the balls, and they do a load of damage. You have to do that 50 times altogether. A Fine Hound, execute and land 5 precision 6. So you can swap in the bottom left hand corner from potions to Torgal's attacks. Torgal has 3 different attacks. One of them is a heal, one of them is precision, one of them is sick, and then one of them is like, it's just attack. You have to just press precision sick. I think it's supposed to be after you land the blow, but if you mash the button anyway, it will it will eventually give you the precision 6, and will then give you the achievement anyway. Legacy, turn the corner. That is, I believe, Jill's backstory section, if I remember correctly. Basically, you go off to a volcano on one of the isles. It's like the Drake's something or other. I can't remember the name. It's been nearly 2 weeks since I last played. So, but yeah, you go to a massive volcano section, and it's Jill's backstory about how she was abused by the leader of the civilization that's there. Yes, Icon. Master all of a single Icon's abilities and feats. As you play through the game, you will get ability points which you can spend on various different Icon's abilities and feats. You just need to max out one of them. Eureka! Spend 36,000 gil at the Tub and Crown. Once you get the hideout a little bit later on in the game, there is a small bar area where you can talk to the barmaid and you can spend money on either getting yourself a drink or you can spend money on buying drinks for everybody that is in the bar. It's like 10,000 for everybody that's in the bar, so you do that 4 times and you'll get the achievement. Made to be broken, defeat 20 enemies while semi-primed. So this is your limit break. You click L3 and R3 and you will go into your limit break mode, which does a little bit more damage and heals. You just have to defeat 20 enemies whilst in that, and it's over time, it's not all at once. Twilight Rose, revisit the past. This is for revisiting the castle where Clive grows up. You end up fighting Hugo Kupka here and getting the Titan power. And then from stone to sand, this is the bottom left area of the map. You go through various different deserty areas and you get your revenge on Hugo Kupka and eventually kill him off, and you do the massive icon fight with Titan. That particular fight with Titan takes absolutely forever and is probably my least favourite fight. Well, it is my least favourite fight. Just because, like, you end up fighting him 3 times, and it's just kind of like, yeah, we went overboard a little bit with that one. Think Mark, defeat 10 notorious marks. As I said earlier with side quests and stuff, the marks tend to be the biggest bulk of the side quests. You need to defeat 10 of them to unlock that. The pen is mightier. Open 10 letters at the reading table. Clive in his quarters has a reading table which gain letters as you play through the game, as you do various different story beats. New letters open up that you can read. You just need to read 10 of them. Twin Flames, unite the flames. This is for reuniting with Joshua and defeating Bahamut, I believe. I think that's the bit where you defeat Bahamut, if I remember correctly. You go to the second capital, basically, and end up fighting with Bahamut. And reunited with Joshua. The more you know, help Harpocrates attain a knowledge level of 5. So Harpocrates is a character that is in the hideout. You go talk to him after various different story beats and he will tell you about the various different bits of lore that you gain. You can talk to him again and just like look at the different bits of lore, backstory and stuff like that. As you play through the game, you build up your level of knowledge, and once it gets to 5, then you get the achievement. I think it goes up to 8. When I'd finished the game, I was 7, but I was like a tiny little bit off 8. So I don't know whether 7's the highest or it goes up to 8, but you got a couple of levels over by the time you finish the game. The Promise, become 1. That is... You start off going towards Ash. You end up getting attacked by Sleipnir at one of the cities, and there's basically a romantic moment that happens with Jill, and you get the Shiva power. With 2Ds, upgrade consumable potency and inventory slots to their maximum. So the various different side quests. Some side quests in the world have a exclamation mark, some of them have a plus. If it's a plus, then it's something that will upgrade your character in some way. The Chocobo side quest has a plus. Quite a few of them in the DLC have pluses, and then there's obviously the consumables and inventory slots are pluses as well. Deal a staggered enemy 50,000 damage. Basically, when you stagger an enemy, you can build up a load of damage all at once, and it'll give you a score for when you do damage whilst they're staggered. It's usually quite difficult to get it earlier on, because there's obviously a time limit to the amount of damage that you can do, rather than just being able to do damage infinitely. There are various different skills that you can get that make this a lot easier. Zantetsu can basically upgrade that. You'll do like 30 odd thousand damage anyway, and then you just need to do like 20 odd thousand damage from there. Vessel complete, collect the final piece. The final piece that you get is Odin. You get that for defeating Barnabas in Ash. Ashes to Ashes, escape the darkness. That is the last area in Ash where you end up fighting Ultima for the first time. Here be Rosfield, visit all areas of the world and local maps. You'll get that. You get most of the areas through general play area anyway. Quite a few of them you need to do side quests. So doing all the side quests and general story play will get you that achievement, as will this one. And they open up my mind. Collect 6 signboards. There are 6 significant characters in the game that are in charge of like different factions. Completing all of their side quests will get you a signboard at the end. Hunter Hunted cleared the hunt board. There's like 25-ish hunts from what I remember. It's probably not 25. It may be more, it may be less. I can't remember the exact number, but it's about 25-ish hunts to do. They all unlock at different times during the story. As you progress through the story, there'll be more and more hunts that will unlock. I recommend doing them as you are clearing the story rather than leaving them to last. When I was doing the platinum run on PlayStation, I did leave them all to last, and it was a slog to get through them all. Careful Whisper, obtain all available items from your Patreon. So there is I can't remember the name of it. There's something Whisper. I think it's like the Patreon Whisper or something like that in the hideout, where you talk to one of the girls behind the camera, and there are various different levels of reputation that you get. And each level you get items. Some of them are pretty decent items. You get stuff like ability points as well, which is always useful to get. And then towards the end, it's like a Genji gauntlet and stuff like that. But yeah, getting all of the items from your patrons will get you that one. There's more than enough reputation as well. There's several side quests that you still do after getting maximum reputation anyway. Half past twilight, craft the legendary sword Gotterdammerung. So for this, you need to complete Blackthorn's side quest. Blackthorn will get a blueprint for the Gotterdammerung for his last bit of his side quest, and you need then like various different items and stuff to get the weapon. Fatal Attraction, defeat 5 enemies in the air while using Deadly Embrace. So Deadly Embrace is Garuda's attack. It will allow you to pull enemies in or pull yourself towards enemies depending on how heavy they are. You basically need to jump up in the air and use Deadly Embrace and do some aerial combos. I don't think that's all at once. I think it's over time. Packing heat, execute and land 2 heatwave counters in a single battle. To do a heatwave counter, you need to use heatwave on a projectile of some variation, and it will do a different animation if you've done it correctly. You just need to do it twice. Trial run, complete a chronolith trial. There are 7 chronolith trials. They are all dotted around the map. They're all hidden. But they're all various different combat trials for each icon. You only need to complete 1 for this achievement, but you need to complete all 7 for another achievement, which I'll talk about in a sec. You are not the boss of me. Defeat a boss without taking damage. If for some reason you don't get this during your playthrough of the game, there is I think it's a ret stone, if I remember correctly. I think that's what it's called, that you can go to in the hideout that'll allow you to go back and do various different sections of the game if you want to go and replay bits of the game. Which means you can go back and fight bosses with better equipment and kill them off a lot quicker. Do that, just kill one of the bosses and you're sorted. Such Dodge, So Mega. This is Bahamut's abilities. Execute Precision Dodge 3 times while charging Mega Flare. So you press B and it will start charging Mega Flare. There'll be like a bar on the side of the screen that'll charge up. If you execute Precision Dodge 3 times whilst doing that, you get that achievement. 100 MFPS. Land 100 total hits with level 2 or higher Mega Flare. You start off with, I think, level 3 Mega Flare, and it can be upgraded to 5. Basically, you just need to charge it up and use it. Any hits count to it. Is a cumulative achievement. It's over time, so it doesn't particularly matter with that one. Never Coming Down is Garuda again. You need to land Gouge, Wicked Wheel, and Rook's Gambit in midair. You're only allowed to have 2 abilities on each of the different skill sets that you can set. So you'll have to set one of them on a different skill set and kind of remember where it is. But yeah, I think I did this on a bomb because it was already floating anyway. But it's just a matter of finding something that will live through each of the different attacks and not move around a lot. Rod to Redemption is it's Ramuh's abilities. So lure an enemy into striking a lightning rod 3 times. One of Ramuh's skills is lightning rod. You slam a rod into the ground. You basically have to get an enemy to attack the rod. So I did this with a Minosaur enemy. It basically charged several times at me, and I was behind the rod, so it attacked the rod. Untouchable is a Titan skill, so use Titanic Block to fend off 10 attacks. Titanic Block is the B ability for Titan. And Beat Rocking Blocks is Titanic Counter. So rather than just holding the B button for block, you have to press block just as an attack comes in, and you'll be able to do a counter attack by pressing X as soon as you block the attack. Cold Blooded is Shiva's abilities, so simultaneously defeat 3+ enemies frozen using Frostbite, Permafrost, or Diamond Dust. Diamond Dust is the easiest one of these to do. With upgrade Diamond Dust, find 3 really easy to kill enemies and use it. Every damn thing you land a level 2 or higher Zantetsuken 5 times. It goes up to level 5. You build it up by using different skills or just by hitting enemies with Odin's sword. Level 5 does tons of damage anyway and is very useful for Final Fantasy mode. So yeah, Fistful of Steel, execute 3 steel counters in a single battle. Having Odin's sword out and attacking the enemy when they're about to attack you will cause you to do a parry, and then will allow you to do a counter. You just need to do it 3 times. Oh Snap is Shiva's abilities again, so inflict permafrost on 10 enemies using Cold Snap. Cold Snap is Shiva's B ability. You just need to dodge out of the way at perfect time, and it will freeze the enemy with permafrost. Falling Star, fulfill a legacy, that is for completing the game. Fuller Horde, obtain all curiosities. So doing all of the side quests in the game will get you a curiosity at the end of the side quest line. The last one that you need is for completing all 7 of the Chronolith trials. When you complete all 7 of the Chronolith trials, you get a special item at the end of that as well. I think there's 24 items altogether. A Crystal Darkly, Brave the Dust. This is the Fallen DLC. So yeah, that's story related. The only way is up, enter the spire. There's a big spire that you have to go to for that particular DLC. You just need to enter it. Bit fallen, obtain all fallen bits. Most of these are in chests. A couple of them are dropped by bosses that are in the spire. They're not particularly hard to find. There's only 6 of them as well, so shouldn't really have too much of difficulty with that one. Repercussion, silence the echoes. That's for completing the DLC. My reward is with me. Obtain the Omega weapon. This is the strongest weapon that you can get from the DLC. It's a lot stronger than Gotterdamn Rung. The Calm. Find it again, what was lost. This is the Rising Tide Leviathan DLC. That's story related. Enter Mysidia is also story related. Tide Slinger. Land 300 tidal attacks combined. Tidal attacks is the B attack for Leviathan. It gives you like a shotgun, and you need to just keep attacking with it. Flow, awaken the storm, is story related. Flood, restore the flow of time, is story related. Explain that, tamed the tides, is also story related. I won't go into too much detail with the story there. Mostly because I don't remember most of it. Tame the tides is defeating Leviathan at the end. Super Soaker, defeat 3+ enemies with tidal attacks while using unlimited ammunition following a quick refill. Sounds really difficult. It's really not. Basically, once you use the tidal attacks, which is the B button again, you can press B to reload the weapon that you have, and then you just need to defeat 3 enemies whilst you have unlimited ammo. It lasts for about 20-ish seconds, 20-30 seconds. The end can wait. Complete 10 Mysidian quests. There are various different side quests that you can do in Mysidia. Most of them unlock like shops or upgrades for shops, or allow you to use ambrosia whilst you are in that particular area. Deus Ex, channel the heavens, is for getting the Ultima icon ability. Alcazia Calva, complete Kairos Gate. Kairos Gate is like a, not quite a boss rush, but it's kind of like an arena fight type boss rush kind of thing that you need to do. It's at the Arret Stones. Basically, it sets you on a path of defeating 5 lots of enemies. The first 4 are just like random enemies, and then the last one is like a boss fight. You get, there's like a currency that you get whilst you're playing that allows you to get various different abilities and stuff and upgrades and make life stronger and stuff like that. You can also get the accessibility upgrades still as well, but the accessibility upgrades stop you from having your score placed on the leaderboards. If having your score on the leaderboards is something that you really want, then don't use them, but if you just want the achievement, then use them. Still breathing, complete the trial by water. That is the chronolith trial for Leviathan. Pretty easy. A most worthy vessel, acquire and master all Leviathan and ultimate abilities. So this is just maxing out those icon trees. A masterclass upgrade all feats and abilities to their maximum, so that's getting all of them done. There is a particular area in Final Fantasy mode that you can go to in Ash, where you fight a bunch of 5 wolves, and it gives you 1,000 AP per turn. You basically use Santetsu and kill them all off. OMG, defeat Omega on Final Fantasy mode. I thought this was going to be harder than what it was. It wasn't much more difficult than doing it on normal mode. But yeah, defeat Omega on the highest difficulty. By the time you get there, you're already like quite a lot stronger anyway, and stuff like the Leviathan shotgun helps to do stagger damage quite quick. Defeat Leviathan in Final Fantasy mode, that'll break us the head. This one was a lot more difficult because there's basically a shield that comes around Leviathan that you have to break, and you basically have to be on point with your attacks. You have to do the maximum amount of damage that you can possibly do. You're basically going to do it with like second to spare. If you're going to do it, it's a very difficult fight to do. Finally complete the game on Final Fantasy mode. You unlock Final Fantasy mode by defeating the game. You do new game plus and you can play Final Fantasy mode after that. It's just playing through the game again. All the enemies are a bit more difficult, they've got more health, but you can get like further upgrades to weapons and stuff so that they go above what they were in the previous mode. And then lastly, the Chronicler. Thus did our journey end. That is basically the Platinum Trophy. You get that for getting all of the other achievements. But yeah, that was Final Fantasy XVI. I enjoyed playing Final Fantasy XVI. I like playing action RPGs anyway. I like Devil May Cry, so the combat was fine with me. The thing that annoyed me the most with this is that there's a big hole in the plot. Basically, after you fight Sleep, Clive gets knocked out by Odin, and then Jill steps in to save Clive, and then Jill gets taken captive. When Clive comes to after being knocked out, he doesn't ask where Jill is, and nobody tells him where Jill is. And like the previous bits leading up to that is like it goes into Jill and Clive's love story and how like they feel about each other and whatnot, and the fact that Clive doesn't even remotely acknowledge the fact that she's not there is kind of like we're missing something with the story here. That kind of annoyed me, just from a storytelling perspective, because he would have asked, like he would have at least gone, where is Jill? Like, but yeah, I rant about that every time I get, because that annoyed me, story wise. But generally, Final Fantasy VI is a good time. It's a good game. If you're looking for a more action RPG out of your Final Fantasy, then this is the game, I guess. I recommend it, but as I said, yet again, thank you to Square Enix for giving me the code. It is much appreciated. And as always, don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe. I'll see you in the next one. Peace.